Maximum News is a political satire podcast. The views expressed by the hosts or guests do not necessarily represent the views of the network or our sponsors. Also, it's very hard to talk about people like Ted Cruz without saying lots and lots of swear words. So maybe don't listen with the small little children persons. Welcome back to Maximum News, everybody. My name is Michael Zampino.
And I'm TJ Clark.
And it's been another hell of a week. When we left you last, we were literally in the process of watching the Tennessee House vote, the Tennessee 3.
Oh, yeah.
They were voting as we were recording, and so we didn't get to talk about the fact that they voted the two black guys and not the white lady out.
Yeah. Not even being subtle about.
And if you wouldn't mind, let's try and find if we could those leaked audio tapes. So since then, this past week, in both Nashville and Memphis, their local legislatures essentially held votes to reinstate both Justins Jones and Pearson, who had been expelled from their elected seats in the House, in the state House. They had been expelled from their seats for exercising a protest on the House floor on gun laws. And since then, we have had a series of audio tapes come out. And listen, there's no way that these tapes aren't coming from another Republican inside. Like, this is somebody inside their state house that's a rational, reasonable person.
Or one of their assistants, maybe.
Somebody, but somebody in there is saying, all right, the things that these motherfuckers are saying out loud to each other has got to be heard by the public.
Yeah.
And thank God for them. So yeah, let's just go ahead and play a little bit of this if we could. And
I think now more than ever, everyone should recognize that Democrats are not our friends. I listened for the last 3 days to Democrats, Sam McKenzie, Chisholm, Parkinson, trash us as racist. I've never had anybody call me a racist.
Nobody in your little bubbles ever called you a racist?
Is how this is the most racist place. One of these white supremacists. Good Lord, we have to realize they are not our friends. They can smile, man, that doesn't mean I can't be polite to them, but they are not our friends. They destroy the Republic and the foundation of who we are, or we preserve it.
They destroy the Republic.
Where we are right now. And if the last 3 days have not proven that, you need to find a new job. There's never been a more important time for us to be unified. There's 75 of us. Let them call their name of the names they're going to call them. We need to move forward. We need to pass the gun bill. We need to pass the pronoun bill, wherever Mark is.
The pronoun bill.
We do not slow down because of their crap. We can't. The only way we move forward with some sort of unity is to call out what happened on the House floor the other night. Yes, sir. I feel like we were hung out to dry by a couple of members. And Jody, I'm just going to say it here because you signed the letter. You straight up came to me and said you were 100% where I was. And you went on the House floor and you did the opposite. Man, you hung us out to dry. And I like you personally. This is not personal. And if Brian Terry was here, I'd say the same thing to him. This would have been bad anyway, but dear God, we brought the racism into it because you didn't stay with us. But I need to know, and I don't want to hear why there wasn't a preponderance of evidence or an attorney. I need to know why you flipped your vote at the last minute. You didn't let them know beforehand. Giving Johnny a 15-minute heads up doesn't cut it. And if Brian Terry was here, I want to hear from him too. I have to know.
We're going to keep the staff out. This is the place to say. I haven't lied to anybody. Not one time. It pisses me off to suggest that I have. And some of my friends in here suggested that I lied. And that's bullcrap. I walked into that room to vote to expel all three of them, just like all y'all. And the letter that I sent to the speaker, it says exactly what it says. Throw the book at it. Everything you've got. It doesn't say expulsion. It's not in there. But it doesn't matter. I was ready.
Jeez, these guys are fucking.
Yeah.
Before we ever started on Jones, I got a list of questions from Johnny Garrett. Johnny says, you're on the list that the speaker has to ask questions. Sat there through Jones, made notes. I went to Johnny and said, Johnny, can I go off script? Johnny says, yeah, go for it. Speaker never called him. We voted. I hit the green vote because that's what I'm there for. Then we get into Florida, and immediately the questions start coming up about the resolution. I know what she did. I know that she did broke the rules. And I know that she deserves to be expelled. We got to do it right. And that's
What?
right. While this is going on,
Wow.
Reader came to my desk. He said, hey, you think we're doing good? I said, no. We haven't established the case. Gino's had 2 cracks at her, and the only thing he's established is that she stood at the well. That's it. It didn't fix any of the problems with the resolution. He didn't establish that she'd been here 10 years or 12 years and knew the rules better than the others did. Why were we still in session? Because we're in between bills. Why did she get down out of order? Because the speaker was disorderly conduct and caused chaos in this whole place.
All right, that's probably good. But basically, you've got a whole bunch of dudes that are really upset that they got called out for exactly what they were doing. The fact that this motherfucker has the balls to be like, I've never had anybody call me a racist in my life. Sure, you haven't.
Yeah, you've got a tiny bubble.
Yeah, there's a reason why you haven't. It's because everybody else around you is probably also a racist. If you surround yourself with those people, none of them are going to call you that. They're going to, hey, did you know that we're racist? Like, that doesn't happen. I mean, how many racists know they're racist?
Exactly.
Like, just the neo-Nazi, like the Nazis, like most other normal racists, they don't think they're racist, but they fucking hella are.
Because they don't see it as racism. They think it's just like the right thing.
Correct. And spoiler, it ain't.
Yeah.
I mean, the Tennessee, these super majorities are so fucking dangerous.
They really are.
And I mean, if you don't know what gerrymandering is or how it works, do a little bit of research into, basically the way it works is you have so many districts in your state, right? And then or in your county or whatever, and basically, so you figure out where all the Democratic votes are coming from, right?
Yeah.
And you redraw your district lines so that each district has as few of those Democrats as humanly possible, if not zero. And you put all of the Democratic votes that you can into one county, so that they then lose and have, maybe 1-2 representatives at the very, very most, and then you wind up with places like Tennessee where it's a 76-24, something like that. It's an unwieldy supermajority.
Yeah.
It's insane that this is allowed to happen.
And what comes of it is exactly what's happened in our country, where you have a majority of the people believing one way, but then you have leaders of state houses,
doing other things because
complete opposite than what the majority
because they have
of
no one to
state
answer
believes.
to anymore because they've drawn their fucking district lines,
so
that they win no matter what. And it's happening here in Oklahoma. It's terrible here.
Yeah.
It's been awful here. I just keep watching our fucking districts get redrawn.
Yeah. Oh, that happens. And I have been checking up because Meet the Press, they have this great newsletter daily, like where they break down numbers. And they had, of course, they've been covering the Tennessee a lot, and they had a list of other state houses with supermajorities that have slowly started passing rules to stifle dissent, basically.
Yeah, did you have that pulled up?
Yeah. So like it started when the Justin Jones and Justin Pearson were on Meet the Press, and Justin Jones was talking about. They've limited debate to what they say is 5 minutes, but in reality, you ask one question, and then they spend the 5 minutes answering it, and your time is up. So it's just stuff like that. It's like it seems like it's nothing, but basically they're literally taking away the voice of the opposite party. And
they basically filibuster the other people's time.
Yeah,
they're just jibber jabbering through their time so that they can't speak.
And it's usually to stifle, like anything that like helps speed up votes or limits time. And it's like they just want to like rush through as much like conservative legislation as they can. So they limit debate times, they limit voting times. They pass all these rules that seem innocuous and small, but what it is like it's stifling.
It's extremely limiting the power of the other side, and that's not how fucking democracy works.
And it's also making it so they stay in power too, which is
yes. And listen, here's the thing: if your idea is the better idea, or if more people think it's the better idea, then that gets to be the thing. And that's how democracy works. Yeah. You don't get to go out and say, everyone hates the thing we want to do, so let's figure out how to fuck everyone out of being able to stop us from doing it and call it a democracy. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah. And to be fair, like, it's the same when Democrats have a supermajority too. Like, in Meet the Press, they listed states that have done it, and Colorado was one, which wasn't really a rule change, but the Democratic majority in Colorado were able to enact a rule that was already on the books. I don't know, like rules, house rules, it's so strange for state by state. I would love to comb through Oklahoma's at some point because I'm guaranteed we have some wacky shit. But basically, like they were trying to pass some gun legislation and the Democrats like blocked it so they couldn't filibuster basically and they could just do what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Which like, I mean, the Democrats do it too. Anyone who has like a supermajority, like, they're controlling things. Like it's going to be tough if you have
and it's not right either way.
No, it's not.
Like Democrats because definitely shouldn't be out there fucking gerrymandering either. That you don't redraw your district lines to like. Neither party should be doing that. It should be criminal.
Because what's scary for me is they see Democrats as enemies. You know, and it's not like working with these people. It's like they're out to get us. We have to stop them and rid them and get them all out of here.
And by out to get them, they mean they're out to give you health care. They're out to give you education.
Exactly.
They're out to give you
which is like, the Democrats in Colorado are doing it, but they're doing it to pass gun control legislation.
Yeah. And none of these laws, once again, we'll reiterate, none of these laws are talking about taking existing guns away.
Yeah.
Not one.
Yeah.
You know? The only time that's ever a thing is in a red flag law situation, you know, where someone who's been flagged as a potential threat could potentially have weapons taken away. That seems reasonable to me.
Yeah.
But then they go, oh, but how will they deem you a threat? What if they just deem you a threat just because? Well, how many guns do I have in this fucking hypothetical? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But it's terrifying, and like hearing that language from that audio, and then we had leaked audio of a Tulsa police officer saying almost the exact same thing, that they're the greatest threat to democracy is a white Democrat. He said specifically,
and I mean the dog whistles are just whistles now.
Yeah,
like
there's sirens.
Yeah, the dog whistles are now sirens.
Yeah,
and it's really fucked up. You love hearing that from your cops.
Yeah. But back to the Tennessee case, there's some good news, right? They got reinstated.
They've both been reinstated. Essentially what happens is a special election has to happen to fill the seat. However, those districts, those counties can they have to pick an interim person to fill the seat until the special election.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely nothing that says that they can't just put that same person right the fuck back in there.
Which is exactly
exactly what they did. So less than a week after they were expelled, Justin Jones was already back.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, was it fun watching those assholes sit there watching him speak.
I want the leaked audio from that. The caucus meeting, like where they know he's coming back. I mean, you got to imagine these guys are so fucking furious. They thought they were going to just like be able to get through. I mean, you heard the guy. Like,
oh yeah,
they thought they were just going to bully their way to whatever they wanted. And now the whole fucking country is looking at
the whole world. This is international news now. They know that they're a fucking laughing stock.
Yeah.
You know,
it's great to see. I mean, how paranoid are those guys to even speak in a room together?
I don't know. I mean, they should fucking be.
They're fucking terrified, and that's kind of fun.
Yeah, hell yeah. Make racists afraid again.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know. The idea of kicking out elected people for using these bullshit loopholes and saying like, oh, house decorum.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, people were pissing on other people's seats in that house and were not expelled for that. If speaking up in protest for gun legislation is a worse break of decorum than urinating on another house member's chair, priorities are pretty out of fucking whack when it comes to decorum. Because if that's the argument you're using, you better hold every motherfucker to that standard.
Yeah.
And you're not, and we see right through it. And the thing is that they knew in the moment, like, okay, this is gonna kill with our base. They're gonna fucking eat this shit up.
Yeah.
They're gonna love it. And they did. But now they're realizing how small that base actually is.
Yeah.
And that the only reason that's the thing. They have such a majority that they feel like they are the representation of everyone.
Absolutely.
They're like, everyone thinks like us because we're all that's here.
When
No.
they're bubble small and everyone around them is nodding their heads in agreement.
Yep.
And they see any opposing viewpoints as the enemy.
Hey, listen, when I'm at my country club and my golf club, I've never once been called a racist by all my other racist friends.
Well, I'm in this room of other white rich senators, and none of y'all have ever called me racist.
When we all sit around talking about how to fuck the poor people and keep them poor and keep them uneducated, nobody's ever calling me a racist. Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Yes.
Everything is horrible always.
Everything is awful. Everything sucks ass when you're in the U.S. Not really. Okay, let's get into this Texas judge, Matthew Kascmaryk. I believe that's the Forbes article there. So another deeply problematic thing in our country right now is the shopping of judges. When you have people within a certain agenda, and it happens on both sides,
Yeah.
But it's something that's deeply problematic. And it just goes to the core of how problematic judges running on political stances is in and of itself, and I realize that, that's not a thing that we could necessarily solve, because if you start making them, not talk about their political stances, whatever, it's just going to be more secretive. It's just going to, we're just going to not know who these assholes are until they show up for work.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the solution is. However, it is problematic whenever you can say, I want to end access to an abortion drug that has been safe and legal and approved by the FDA for however many fucking years. And when I say effective, I mean 99.9999. Like, it's like 0.0008 something. Like, it's so unbelievably low. And they know that, okay, we take this case and we go and we find the most backwards, cuckoo, conservative judge that Trump was able to push through, and we bring it to him, knowing that he'll rule in our favor, and then it can get kicked up to our good old friends, Alito and Clarence Thomas and all those good friends. And they know they got a 6-3 majority there.
Super majorities.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really fucked up that this is something you can actually do.
Yeah.
But so this is the guy that he one of the things that came out last week, and it was reported by the Post, was that he removed his name from an article that criticized transgender care and abortion protections on religious grounds during his judicial nomination process, all but ensuring that it would not be brought up during the confirmation process. That's some dirty shit. Yeah. Kascmaryk asked for his name to be removed from the article for, quote, reasons I may discuss at a later date, unquote, and be replaced by two co-workers at the religious freedom-focused law firm First Liberty Institute, where he worked. The article was not disclosed by Kascmaryk, who had already been interviewed by Republican Senators Ted Cruz and John Cornyn in a questionnaire submitted to the Senate Judiciary Committee, which reviews all judicial nominations and requires nominees to disclose all published works.
Yeah. So we just got judges out here lying
Just straight up lying
to get jobs
with agendas,
Yeah.
with specific
Totally.
agendas saying, I'm going to get on this bench so that I can end access to abortion.
Yeah. The same reason why we got half of our Supreme Court justices.
I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. This guy, and
I feel like
even in his confirmation hearing, there were several questions where his answers were, I mean, problematic is putting it lightly.
Yeah.
And yeah, sure enough, there's all these motherfuckers get pushed through.
I feel like this is like a long game that conservatives have been playing that like liberals definitely slept on. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, for sure.
Like this is all coming to like how much the like judges, the judicial branch, like controls our government.
The fact that there isn't way louder efforts against like the Heritage Foundation and all that, like these motherfuckers, the First Liberty Institute,
Yes.
you know, these places like this, like
how does anyone from First Liberty Institute become a judge? Like that's like a very leaning
absolutely
institution, right?
Yeah, it's a quote a religious freedom focused law firm,
which is not an objective person who's on that group.
And when you hear religious freedom in the context of a conservative in the United States of America, that means the freedom, the freedom to practice Christianity and only Christianity, and the freedom to outlaw anything but.
Yeah, that's
and
absolutely
that's
right.
exactly what they mean when they say freedom focus, religious freedom focus.
Yeah.
Fuck that. No, I want freedom from your bullshit religion.
Exactly.
Because it is one of the most damaging things in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
And the fact that modern Christianity right now is 90% grifters, abusers, liars, and just shifty motherfuckers like that Carroll Lentz piece of shit. Which I've been seeing people apologize for him, like these local Christians that are like,
oh, is that the guy who started working for?
Yeah, the fucking
Transformation,
the Hillsong piece of shit.
Yeah,
and it's insane how they're able to apologize for that guy and how they're only talking about like, well, you know, he cheated on his wife and he apologized, so it's all good. And it's like, what about all the other allegations? What about all the other?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They love overlooking what they don't. Want to talk about.
It's just insane. And the idea that they want so badly for us to, you know, you don't fucking touch my Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is so precious.
But stomp all over the
First Amendment clearly states not basing laws based in religion.
Yeah.
Any religion, even yours.
Yeah. That's one of the, like, when I was a child.
Even if you think yours is right.
Exactly. Like when I'm a child learning about our country, one of the very first things I remember is separation of church and state.
Yeah.
Like that to my mind, that's like one of our like fundamental things. Like
the founding fathers said all sorts of shit that was like, hey, no, the religion's kind of cuckoo and it does not belong in the government.
Yeah. And now it's trickled all through our system, through judges and everything.
And even the religious founding fathers that were religious were like, yeah, it should stay out there, though.
This is
like, that's on Sunday in the other building. We do that over there.
Yeah. And these guys were horrible.
They were terrible slave-owning pieces of shit.
But they knew that at least.
Yeah. And they knew, don't, you know, the invisible sky daddy doesn't come into the government.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we want to keep God separate from this horrible shit we're doing to
shit,
black
right?
people and others. Yeah,
we got to keep God out of this fundamentally racist laws we're writing.
He would not be happy about any of the stuff we're doing in our country,
especially that Jesus cat. Yeah. He would really not like it. Old Testament God might dig some of it though.
That's true.
He was pretty fucked up.
That is true.
He's super dark. Okay, so yeah, this guy's terrible, and he's the reason why this mifepristone thing is going to get kicked up to the Supreme Court, and
which is going to be interesting. I mean, I'm interested in seeing how they do this.
Well, because it's a complete contradiction to what they did with the Dobbs decision. Because
I kind of love it.
The Dobbs decision said this is the job of the states, and we are not to get involved. Yeah. Now the states are saying make the decision for everyone.
Exactly.
So
I know it's great. It's great that they have to make this decision.
Yeah, they're either going to have to wear their corruption on their sleeve, or they're going to have to piss off a lot of people in their base.
And Republicans are starting to see like abortion might not be the issue to hang their hat on either, because
it's so deeply unpopular.
yeah. And like there was the vote in Kansas like way back, like
yes.
And then there was one recently too. Was it? Oh man, I don't even want to say because I don't remember. But there was another vote.
Yeah.
I think it was about judges, but they said ultimately it was about abortion.
Right.
That leaned towards pro-life stuff, right? So like, or pro-choice stuff. Sorry.
Correct. Yeah.
It's like voters are obviously wanting abortion rights to stay.
Even.
And Republicans see it.
Well, and I'm like, even a good chunk of pro-life people recognize that these, 6-week bans with no exceptions, are incredibly in like at 6 weeks you don't know you're pregnant most of the time.
Yeah.
Like you can't say that you only have that window where you might not even know you're pregnant, and then if you were raped or a victim of incest, that you have to then prove it.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that Ron DeSantis like passed that
he just
late at night,
11
he didn't
o'clock
talk
at
about
night.
it.
Nope. And it's already kicking back at him. There's already talks about donors souring on him. People in the state of Florida are not stoked about it.
Yeah.
And if Florida's not stoked about your deeply conservative law, like it might be too much because Florida loves that shit.
But what's great is it seems like these like ultra like conservative, I don't know, like puppet masters have been like orchestrating through the courts this system to get rid of abortion. But because they're fucking out of touch with reality and the country, the rest of the country is like now cool with it.
Yeah.
Right. So, and now it's like backfiring because you have all these like old school, like conservative guys who've been like planting judges and like playing this game of chess for a long time. And it's succeeded. But now like the current life voters and people are like, no, like this, and it's backfiring on them. And like the discussion, I don't think they expected like the push. I know they were going to get pushback from progressives, but I don't think they expected the pushback from what they saw as just like your average.
What it is
Christian
it's the dog chasing the car scenario.
Yeah,
they
when
say what are you going to do if you catch it?
Yeah.
Well, in this case, they caught it, but the reason they caught it is because it had to slam on the brakes and they face planted into the fucking rear end and broke their neck.
Yeah, and a lot of the guys in the Supreme Court just are horrible, right? Like we know that. So
deeply corrupt.
It is scary to see which way this goes because I could see them just not giving a fuck. But like the reasons they gave, right? Like this directly like puts that on the table.
They're going to have to directly contradict themselves if they're going to rule in favor of getting rid of this drug.
Yeah.
They will.
I still think it's not good because like if they do lean it towards state rights, then it's going to be like if you're in Oklahoma, you're probably not going to be able to get.
It's going to be gone. Yeah, for sure.
And that's fucked up.
It is. But you know what? That's where a nice little underground railroad of abortion drugs is called for.
Yeah.
And listen, this might be problematic to say, but I'm all for shit like that. Like if you're that person and you're like, listen, I'm over here in this state where we got it. Like come over here.
Best Reviews is an unbiased team that researches.
What was that from?
That's on one of these tabs here. One of these open tabs just decided to troll us in the middle of it.
That's funny. I think it was that guy right there.
This guy.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But yeah, it's like you said, it's backfiring hard, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
But I say that part is watching them get sort of shit on in the backlash is fun to watch. But what's happening in the meantime is unbelievably inhumane.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and inhumane might not be enough. It's cruel. It's just cruelty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
nothing. Nothing makes like they said judges shouldn't be getting involved in like the things that the FDA approve. You know what I mean? Like like that's. It just seems like it's not just abortion. This whole thing is just like fucked up in a number of ways. I'm
glad you brought this back up. This actually has a nice little list if you scroll. It's got a bunch of his sort of this was to try and basically keep him from getting confirmed. The Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights basically wrote a letter to the senators saying, hey, this guy should not be a judge, a federal judge, and here are all the different reasons why. like for LGBT animus. It says Mr. Kascmaryk fundamentally disapproves of LGBT people. In 2015 op-ed, he wrote, quote, "In this century, sexual revolutionaries are litigating and legislating to remove the fourth and final pillar of marriage law, sexual difference and complementarity. The major and growing Abrahamic religious denominations, Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, share a binary view of the human person and human sexuality. The Catechism holds that homosexual acts are intrinsically disordered and contrary to natural law and do not proceed from a genuine, effective, and sexual complementarity."
How does that person become a judge who writes those words?
I do not know. Of course, Kascmaryk has expressed strong opposition to Obergefell, which is the marriage equality.
Sorry, I'm still hung up on sexual revolutionaries removing the fourth pillar of marriage. Oh, we've been wanting to get rid of that fourth pillar.
It's the fourth
we
one
got
that's
rid of
really
those other three a long time ago, man.
Yeah. But that one's holding strong.
That man and woman, that's what's holding marriage together, because those no man and woman who gets married ever gets divorced.
Well, and they always use that shit of like trying to mask their bigotry in saying that it's an attack on their institutions. That like gay people getting married is somehow an attack on marriage.
Yeah.
Like it's not, motherfucker. Yeah. It's just two people getting a joint bank account and shit. Like,
yeah. I'm not homophobic. I just really want to protect the sanctity of marriage. Okay.
What is that? What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
These are all ideas that we've made up.
Yeah. So this guy really hates.
Yeah, hates marriage inequality. Really hates gay people. Really hates women.
Again.
Anti-trans. Super anti-trans.
Oh yeah. Surprised there.
Yep.
So yeah. Anyway, how does these judges get appointed, nominated? How does it work?
The confirmation process. So essentially, the federal judges, they get suggested to the Judiciary Committee, and then they go through a confirmation process where they would have disclosed all of those publications, so that shit would have been read by them.
Yeah.
And then they are voted on by a committee.
Okay.
And confirmed. Now this is when Trump had basically everything, the Senate, the House, and everything was basically under his control. So they were one after the other pushing these guys through. Yeah, just knowing that they had the numbers to confirm them no matter what.
Which I heard Biden was doing similar things his first 4 years, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're basically trying to counteract the numbers.
Like once you do that, I know, like once your predecessor throw something on the table,
and they've been doing this for years. This is it's a game. The Republicans are. And here's the thing: the big difference in how this game is played is that one side has a very specific and very hateful agenda, and the other side is genuinely just trying to combat that agenda.
Yeah. And
it's, there's no judges being appointed by Democrats that are trying to, there is not, you don't see anti-gun judges being shoved, because it's not a thing. There's not an anti-gun judge.
Yeah.
There is just actual unbiased judges, and then there's these fucking guys. And to the idea that there wouldn't be maybe a super left-leaning biased judge on the other end, I'm not saying that's not a thing, but these aren't the people that are being put through. They're putting people through that they know are going to vote in a reasonable and non agendaed manner to basically balance the numbers of all the people that were shoved through in the previous administration.
Yeah. Gross. And the people just get fucked over.
Yeah, exactly.
While the two parties play tennis.
And and we have to just keep hoping that we can balance it out enough to keep this shit from happening.
Yeah.
And we're losing those numbers. And right now it really sucks because we can go back into the Clarence Thomas shit. You know, even more news came out about this guy buying houses from Clarence Thomas in the beginning of their relationship.
Yeah.
You know, before they had the guise of like, no, this is just my best friend. And, you know, the idea that this guy isn't pushing an agenda on Clarence Thomas is just stupid. There's no way it's not happening. But the fucked up thing is that the only way to get rid of Clarence Thomas would be through impeachment, which requires a majority of the House.
Yeah.
We don't have that. And there's not enough reasonable Republicans to see the facts as they are and not just vote to keep their majority in the Supreme Court.
Oh, yeah. And they're especially not going to vote to
They're
lose
not going to listen to the facts.
To lose a conservative
Exactly.
Supreme Court
They're not
justice,
going to listen to the facts of the case. They're only going to know, like, if I vote against him, we lose a Republican or we lose, you know, a conservative on the Supreme Court. And their mind is made up going in. So, you know, and not to say the Democratic minds aren't also made up going in, but to be fair, they've been made up by some pretty significant reporting. You know, like some pretty like that ProPublica piece is pretty hard to discredit.
Yeah.
You know, like that was some very well reported stuff.
It was great. Yeah, that was some great investigative.
It would be very hard to break that apart. It's very hard to take that and sort of poke holes in it because it was so well done.
Yeah, and it's such a weak, and I think they've changed the rules from what I understand to be less lenient on the like personal friend. It's like gifts from a personal friend, right? Like,
yeah, you have to disclose anything over like $450.
Yeah,
any gift over $450.
Is that the new change? Because I know there was some kind of update recently.
No, it's been. I think it's been that way. It was that way before.
Yeah.
But no, they changed something that basically said that you're allowed, like, it was basically saying that, like, you could take accommodations from friends. Like, so if I was, say you and I lived in a different city and I had to come there and you offered to just let me crash at your house, you know, that's allowed.
Yeah.
But if your place is
a yacht,
a super yacht, and you're flying there on private jets and doing all sorts of other shit. Oh, and also I'm going to be there to talk to you about agendas.
And I'm going to bring some friends too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where it gets a little different.
But it's like he defends himself by saying, oh, yeah, I was fine with the rules. Like I asked when I first became a judge. And then, but it feels like Republicans, conservatives are like, oh, okay, it's fine then.
Yeah, no, it's not fine. And also he knew it wasn't fine because if it was fine, he would have disclosed that on everything when he was running, when he was being confirmed.
Yeah.
They would have known, oh, Harlan Crow
just like this guy taking his name
just
off
bought several properties from you,
Yeah.
including your mother's home that she still lives in.
Just like the guy taking his name off that essay. These people know.
Yeah.
They fucking know.
They know what they're doing.
They know.
The idea that just, my bad.
And then the people who could do something about it and be like, oh, you lied to us, we're impeaching you. Because of their fucking team sport mentality, they're like, oh, well, we're going to have to stick by this guy.
You know what?
Because we don't want...
Every time I think of this team sport mentality bullshit that keeps Republicans doing this shit, I just think back to how fucking mad I am that Al Franken's not still in the Senate.
I know.
The fact that we stuck to our guns and we're like, no, we have to do the right thing. We have to do the right thing.
Yeah.
How far has that gotten us?
No, yeah. Being decent people
That doesn't feel like it's the option anymore.
Yeah. I know. I've thought that before too. Like, do I want the like politicians who represent my majority of my political beliefs, do I want them to be just like fucking animals? Like
I don't.
Like,
I really don't. Like I remember at the time being like, you know what? This sucks ass and it's only a picture and I really I think it's wrong, but I also don't think it's worth expulsion or worth him losing a seat.
Yeah.
But I was like, it definitely had to be addressed, especially if you're going to be
the timing of it was
and especially if you're going to be the party of saying like, hey, these things we can't let people do these type of things. That this is a behavior that we don't accept. Then we have to hold them to the same standard, and that's why at the time it happened. But also like. I think there's a big difference between admonishing someone and especially for something on that level, the fact that we were talking about a picture where he was pantomiming grabbing a sleeping lady's boobies.
Yeah.
It's not great at all. No. However, does it rise to like pissing on another person's seat or, like actually touching someone or
I don't know, rape like a couple of Supreme Court justices were accused of.
Like putting pubes on a Coke can, Clarence Thomas. Let's not forget that was a big part of that story.
Yeah.
Was him putting his fucking pubic hair on her Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
So that it would, go in her mouth? What the fuck is wrong with you, Clarence? What are you, fucking 12?
You're into some weird shit, Clarence.
Also, what is this weird, like, neg flirting that you're doing? Like, like that's something, like, that's a prank that, like, gross dudes do on their buddy. Like that's like a jackass
totally
prank.
Swallowed
like,
my pube,
yeah,
dude.
that's like Steve-O and shit. Like, I just put a pube on your beer and you drank it. Ha, ha, ha. Like, the fuck?
He's like, if she swallows it, part of me will be inside of her.
If she swallows my pube, then I'll be in her. Ew, Clarence, you gross.
He probably eats pudding with his fingers.
Let's just, you know what? Let's just pivot to puddin fingers if we could. Old pivot. Hello, old puddin finger pivot. That's what we're calling it here at Max News. So there was a story that came out a while back about that the Daily Beast reported last month that DeSantis once ate chocolate pudding with 3 fingers, citing 2 sources familiar with the incident. Quote, he would sit in meetings and eat in front of people. A former staffer told the outlet, quote, always like a starving animal who has never eaten before, getting shit everywhere. So
I 100% believe that.
So Trump being Trump, and one of the only things that I'll ever give him credit for is homie knows how to fucking hit you. Like homie knows how to smack someone while they're down.
Bully. He's a king bully.
Yeah, he's a real dickhead. And so
it's
he
like
made
if bullies had a pope.
He made an attack ad on Ron DeSantis, and it's objectively funny. Because he's poking fun at old puddin fingers and the way he eats pudding. But it's also deeply disgusting to watch because it is just a man eating pudding cups with 3 fingers, just really digging in there.
3 fingers. I love that.
Yeah, three fingers specifically.
Scoop, right?
Yeah, you get more coverage. You can scoop the whole side of the.
Slides over both sides. You got to give it a steady middle.
You're gonna miss some at the bottom. That's where it is. You have a little circle at the bottom. You get 3 fingers in there. You get that part.
Yeah, and you make more of a cup if you like cup your fingers.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's real gross to watch, but the metaphor that they're going for is attacking Ron DeSantis's dipping his fingers into things like Social Security and Medicare.
What a shitty metaphor.
It's the grossest way, but hey, credit where credit's due. It's a very smart idea to, in Florida of all places, make sure that the large majority of Floridians that are retired people know that Ron DeSantis wants to take away their benefits.
Yeah.
It's smart. It's a
scaring
smart
season.
play.
Yeah.
Honestly, like credit where credit's due. It's a smart fucking play.
Yeah.
However, real gross to watch.
Yeah.
Because this dude, and credit to the actor that they got to do this, he is just he committed. He is to the knuckles with 3 fingers into his mouth, licking this pudding off, and it is fucking gnarly.
Do you think they made like a bigger cup? Because most pudding cups are pretty shallow. They're like, we made a special cup just so we could get like his fingers in there deeper.
I don't know.
Just to get that visual. Like if I'm in like video production, so I'm thinking like, how do we make this?
We're gonna need a deeper cup.
Yeah, like they had a special cup made just to be extra gross, just to knuckle it, just to get the knuckles.
Just to get down to the knuckles. Yeah, he's knuckle deep in that pudding. And then he's knuckle deep in his mouth, though. Like the fingers are all the way, like almost gagging. Like
cup to mouth.
I wonder if he accidentally gagged himself.
Yeah, definitely. No, he. Jesus. This is also my favorite tweet ever because the text of the tweet just says pudding fingers.
Yep. Well, pudding fingers DeSantis.
Pudding fingers.
It's a better nickname than any of the ones we've had so far. Like
Meatball Ron.
I'll take pudding fingers over Meatball Ron all day. I'll take it over DeSanctimonious for sure. I mean, that one was a swing and a miss. Honestly, DeSanctimonious it's a lot. It's a lot of syllables.
It is a lot.
But Puddin fingers just really rolls off the tongue.
Puddin fingers.
It's like hot dog water. It's just a
I
good
can't wait
one.
for the debate where Trump pulls out, oh, really? Puddin fingers?
Isn't that right, Puddin fingers? Look, I mean, if he did, I'd fucking high five him. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not high-fiving Ron DeSantis, that's for sure.
Hell no, I'm gonna get that sticky Puddin fingers.
Oh, you're slobber.
He's just dripping with spit, getting shit everywhere. That's a
Yeah.
quote. That's a direct
Yeah,
quote
that's a
from a former staffer. Quote, getting shit everywhere. Like a
And in
fucking
the video, it's like
child.
chocolate pudding, too, so it's just
Oh yeah, they chose
extra-
chocolate too.
yeah.
Like they knew, they were like, we got to make this
all-
ad
looks like-
disgusting.
There's like one color palette to that spot, and it's brown. And there's just like
Someone needs
different
to-
shades of brown throughout
Someone
the whole
needs to cut this commercial with the scene in Scrooged when they're all reacting to the gnarly commercial that Bill Murray's character made. Do you remember that? No, I don't remember. Oh my god! So they made a commercial for the Christmas Carol that they're doing. Right? Remember his television? They're
Yeah.
doing Christmas Carol
that's
live
right.
or whatever.
That's
Right.
right.
So he makes this commercial that's like bombs and like all this fucked up stuff, and it's all talking about how like they're getting calls from people complaining about the ad or whatever. They need to cut that with this because it's like, oh, people are having nightmares.
Totally. It's gross.
People are barfing all over themselves.
Ugh.
It really kind of made me retch a little bit. It was so
Yeah.
fucking gnarly.
I hate watching people eat, period, you know?
I mean, yeah,
Like
I don't
on TV.
want people watching me eat, and I don't really want to watch people eat either.
Like local news, they love like tasting things on the air, and I hate it
no,
every time.
yeah, right. Especially with a microphone.
Exactly. And then they have to talk and like read about fucking
Banana noises.
a shooting after that. Yeah. And they've got like peanut butter in their mouth.
It's kind of hard to talk about a mass shooting with like little bits of fucking parsley in your teeth.
Yeah. Because it was National Parsley Day or whatever ridiculous thing they like talking about.
Puddin fingers, Jesus.
Pudding fingers.
So MAGA War Room, is that a conservative?
I mean,
I'm assuming that's
I assume, yeah.
unless it's just ironic.
I'm
But I mean,
assuming
they
this was
did
real.
pay for their blue check mark, so it's
They
going to
did.
be legit.
MAGA War Room.
Oh, yeah. Managed
yeah.
by Make America Great Again Incorporated, the MAGAPAC.com. Which, by the way, I don't know if you heard, but Jack Smith is now looking into Trump's fundraising for his legal
yeah.
defense fund, basically swindling
Yeah,
his
fuckload of
followers
money, right?
out of tens of millions of dollars. Once again, you know, Steve Bannon did this with the Build the Wall thing. They did it with the Stop the Steal. And they did it again with the Trump Defense Fund. I mean, it's just he's constantly grifting his supporters out of
Making
money.
Yeah.
Out of money. This guy is so rich, but he constantly fucking fundraising.
Chaos is his biggest business.
I mean, it's fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
tens of millions of dollars. People just keep giving him money.
I know.
Keep giving him money.
No.
Stop giving him money.
I guarantee these are people who give money to their church all the time. And
Oh,
they're
for sure.
So giving it to Trump seems like nothing. No?
Yeah, I mean, they're used to people just taking their money and misusing it and saying
Exactly.
it's for one thing and using it for something.
Yeah.
I'm giving this money because it's going to a cause that I feel good about and it's making me feel good.
Yeah.
However, that cause is their pockets.
Yeah. Your money is
Whoops.
going to build a golden toilet.
You got tricked. You got tricked
Yeah.
again.
But also, he does have a lot of legal fees.
Oh, he's got so
got a
many.
lot of legal
and a lot
fees.
more coming. A lot
And I'm
more
sure
coming.
his lawyers are asking for a lot of money these days, too.
Well, and he's running out of people willing to fucking defend him, too. That's
Yeah.
why I was so shocked that one lawyer left his firm to take the job in the Stormy Daniels case.
Yeah.
Like, homie left his job.
Yeah. He's
take
like,
that.
I need my name in the news.
I mean, I can't imagine anything else he's going for other than the name recognition.
Yeah.
Because he's known for not paying his attorneys.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it is well known that people are like, yeah, he loves to not pay.
Yeah.
Like, he stiffs people, all the contractors, lawyers, you know.
He's a grifter.
He's a grifter. Yeah. Ay. However, we got some news that the judge in the E. Jean Carroll case said that he would not allow Trump to know the identity of the jurors in the case going in.
Yeah.
When you see someone like Donald Trump making great value tweets about how the prosecutors are Soros-backed animals and attacking their family, their wives, their children. I mean, it's pretty easy to deduce why he might want to know the identities of the jurors.
Yeah.
And that's to intimidate them.
Oh, yeah.
And try and sway them.
It's so weird.
I mean, voter intimidation is a crime.
Yeah.
And Trump was basically like,
Straight
hey, can I have their names so that I could do a crime on them? I'm trying to do a crime on them. And if you could give me
I'm
their...
having a hard time finding their names and addresses.
I'm having a hard time doxing them to my insane base.
Oh, God. Yeah.
What the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
the fact that the judge was like, hell no, thank God.
Yeah.
But that judge also is letting the judge is now letting Trump's lawyers grill E. Jean Carroll about the fact that she was getting funding from the founder of LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah.
And the founder of LinkedIn has been a noted Trump critic.
Yeah.
However, arguments could be made about whether or not this is ethical, whether or not this is right. However, Cassidy Hutchinson, I believe most of the staff that were questioned in regards to January 6th, almost all of them were given lawyers that were paid for by Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So if her getting funded by the
Yeah.
founder of LinkedIn is not chill,
Yeah.
wouldn't you funding all of their lawyers with those lawyers then giving specific directions about you not talking about certain things?
Yeah.
Isn't that also a little unethical?
Totally.
I mean, if you're going to say one is wrong, you got to say the other is.
Yeah.
Because one feels a little bit more wrong.
Especially
the lawyer.
because he's like involved in like Donald Trump's involved in the case essentially, right? For like the people he's paying the lawyers for, right? It's
Yeah.
for January 6th.
Yes, he's paying for their lawyers to
So it's
sway.
like the LinkedIn founder doesn't have any does he have, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no dog
So
in the
this
fight.
almost seems like even Trump funding lawyers seems way even more shady than this lady getting her like legal stuff funded, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Because like lawyers are expensive, dude. And like if you had like a strong case against someone, like money shouldn't stop you, you know? So I feel like if this lady wants to find funding for her lawyers and like there's no ethical, like the LinkedIn founder isn't involved in any of this, like
Right.
I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, and if they're not, and here's the thing, if that funding isn't directly affecting the decisions being made by the lawyers,
Yeah.
that's where you're
Yeah.
okay. If she's paying a lawyer to do and say specific things for a specific agenda, that is wrong.
Yeah.
If she's helping a woman pay for a lawyer because the woman couldn't pay on her own because that person thought that there's a case,
Yeah.
that's, make an argument if you will, whatever. But
Totally.
we live in a world where people like Donald Trump can just throw money at problems and make them go away. And to the idea that somebody says, hey, look, I've got some money and I'd like to throw it at him not being able to make this problem go away.
Yeah.
There's something to be said there.
Absolutely.
But if they're directly influencing the lawyers in the case, that's where it gets problematic. And we have proof that at least with the Cassidy Hutchinson case, we have proof that the lawyers that were provided by Donald Trump were influencing her testimony directly.
Yeah.
And that's a known fact now.
Yeah.
So, like I said, there's obviously arguments that could be made either way about whether or not this is ethical, but for them to be made by Donald fucking Trump
Yeah.
is just, another level to the hypocrisy that these people are so able to blind themselves to and still just chuck out their fucking money to this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, how much more proof do they have to be given that he's tricked them, that he's grifting them before they see it?
There is no proof. You know what I mean? I don't think there isn't any. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the team sport. It's the brainwashing. It's like, I don't know. I think eventually, like, maybe the cold reality that he's not going to get elected and they might have to live under another Democrat president. Like if they see that, like, oh, there's no way he can get reelected, I'm going to vote for Ron DeSantis. Like, it won't be a decision like against Trump. They won't ever think that, ooh, Trump's
He
a bad
was
person
wrong.
now.
Yeah.
It'll just be like, oh, Trump's been,
I still love him,
Trump's
but I
such a
gotta,
victim.
yeah,
Like
we gotta
the
get the win.
Democrats have won, and he's not gonna be like they've held him back. He's not gonna win this.
Barf.
So we better vote for Ron because he's the only chance of beating Biden or whoever. You
Well,
know?
he might have just fucked himself with that 6-week ban that he signed.
Yeah.
I mean, here the Republicans have
not
given
reading the
themselves
room.
well, and they've given themselves a real quandary by basically saying that the path to the Republican nomination leads to a very rocky road in a general election
Exactly.
because of all the bullshit you have
Yes.
to do and say to get that Republican nomination.
That's just like that's the Republican Party right now. It's like you have to do batshit stuff to get elected for your party.
But then if you have to
But
run
then it's
against
so batshit they
Yeah.
can't, because guess what? The most of the world does not believe in your batshit ideas,
yeah,
or most of the country.
your base is not as big as you think it is.
Yeah, but like the Republican base is.
Yeah,
So their math is all fucked up.
it is.
And I love it.
Math is a real bitch, ain't it? Numbers
we're
and
like,
how
we got our own math
they
now.
don't lie. Yeah, we have alternative math. Fucking alternative facts. You remember that shit?
Yeah.
God damn.
I don't remember. It's still around.
I know. But I just remember the first time she said that shit on
yeah.
live TV.
Yeah.
I remember being like, what did she just say?
Alternative
Like, I was
facts.
watching it live and I remember being like, this bitch.
This is, yeah.
She really just said alternative facts. What the fuck? Trump got deposed for I believe like 8 hours or so by Letitia James and from what I read, he was not.
If you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment?
They said he didn't take the Fifth.
Ooh, all right.
At least on, I don't know if on everything, but
Yeah.
I would imagine that if he was taking the Fifth, it wouldn't have lasted 8 hours.
That's true. Unless they had a lot of questions.
But Donald, he likes to try and defend himself. So
Yeah.
he perjured himself a bunch of times.
Oh, yeah.
And those depositions can be used.
Mm-hmm.
All the shit can be used in a civil case.
Nice.
It's not like in a criminal proceeding where they can usually not use that stuff.
Yeah.
Civil depositions, I believe. I might be wrong on that, but yeah, all that stuff can be used to prove
So
guilt.
there might be some juicy stuff there.
I mean, his company was already convicted of this, basically,
right, yeah.
and now they're suing him for $250 million.
Yeah.
It's a nice little chunk of change. He's gonna have to do
Do some more
another big
fundraising.
grift. Yeah, he's gonna have to get another big grift
we
to
got
get
another
that.
controversy to come up and he's got to raise money for.
But yeah, so we've got the E.G. and Carroll case coming. We've got that civil case in New York. We got the Stormy Daniels case. Obviously, it's going to be months before anything happens there. But
Yeah.
and then you got Jack Smith looking into more and more stuff. The idea of Jack Smith not coming down with indictments is looking less and less likely.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the fact that he's now going into all that fundraising and stuff, like, there's no fucking way that there was not a crime committed that he can prove.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion, there's no way that he's not going to be able to prove a long list of criminal activity. This is not a guy that fucks around. This is a guy that's getting facts, and he's getting lots of
Good
them.
at his job.
He was just able to interview a bunch of Trump staffers.
Yeah.
Because the judge ruled that he could talk to Stephen Miller and Scavino and Mark Meadows and all those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And if they're pleading the Fifth, then that's really just strengthening his case.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not supposed to that's not supposed to sway a jury. But like, I mean, if you're a human being and you're seeing every person close to him saying, "I don't
Plead
want
the
to
Fifth."
answer this question because it might incriminate me in a crime."
Yeah. All these people possibly committed a crime. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
But
are these
he
people
did.
worried?
Yeah, they're worried that they might be implicated in that they committed a crime if they answer a question about whether or not Trump committed a crime.
Exactly.
Hard to think that he
says
didn't
so
commit
much
a
about you.
crime.
Imagine all of your friends and family and everyone you know having to plead the Fifth because of shit they've done for you.
And then having everybody go, everyone else is lying.
Yeah.
They made
No,
everyone
he's
around
fine.
him.
No one's done anything bad.
Boy, yoy. You know what though? We were at least given one gift this week, and that is pudding fingers.
Pudding fingers. Pudding fingers.
Just let it roll off the tongue.
Yeah.
By that I mean your fingers filled with pudding.
I don't know if I can ever eat a cup of pudding.
Not without a spoon for sure. I don't think I've ever once stuck my nasty fingers in a pudding cup. Maybe as a child?
I mean, I'm fat, so I do all kinds of gross stuff. I will occasionally, like, if it was something really delicious and I'm like, I am not done eating this, I will do a, like, sweep, right? Like, of the finger.
Sure.
Like,
a single thing.
yeah, a little, like, sweep of the cup to, like,
finger
get the last
spatula.
little- That's right. I'm not making the 3-finger
No, you're not-
shovel.
You're not sexually assaulting your fucking pudding.
Yeah. I'm not triple diging like a pudding.
You're not gaping your pudding with your fucking fingies.
Yeah.
Ew.
Like, just, was he like fist a bowl of chili? Like, what is it?
I could just see him like eating a handful of chili. Like, Ron, that's really hot. Okay, so good.
Like,
I'm so hungry.
pouring it into his mouth.
I'm so hungry.
Yeah.
Dang, Ron, why don't they feed you?
Every meeting. He does this every meeting.
Gets shit everywhere. So good. Did you have an album rec for this week?
I do have an album rec for this week. Let me get the exact name. So I, once again, I've been continuing my playlist of my lifelong playlist. And Daniel Johnston, are you familiar with Daniel Johnston? Who he is?
I know the name.
So Daniel Johnston, I forget what year he passed, in the 2000s, I think. But the name of the album is The Late Great Daniel Johnston. Discovered Covered. So as a CD, it was 2 CDs. One CD is Daniel Johnston's original songs.
Okay.
And the second CD is
Covers.
contemporary artists like covering him. There's a great documentary about Daniel
people
Johnston
covering
too.
him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
there's a great documentary about Daniel Johnston called The Devil and Daniel Johnston. So he recorded mostly in the 80s and 90s, and he was just like he was severely mentally ill. You think he lived with his mom for most of his life, and he had like just fucking melody inside him, right? This guy wrote like beautiful songs, and he was like poor. He used like toys as instruments all the time, and he recorded on just like cheap recorders and stuff. But he loved the Beatles, and he loved these like kind of like Beatles like melodies, and through a lot of his songs you can hear. But there's some of the like just like raw recordings, like there's just like so like thin, there's like no depth to them, but like you can still hear like the melodies in his voice, and his lyrics are great. So it's interesting listening to his covers and this kind of like emotional core, and then seeing what these bands like do with his songs. And I love cover songs anyway, because I love when a band can take a work and then like make it their own.
Yeah.
And because his work is so just like primal and elementary, like it leaves so much space for these like bands to take. So there's some like great songs on there. Like one of my favorite Beck songs ever is him covering Daniel Johnston on this album. So
Nice.
check it out. It came out in 2004.
And it's called Discovered and Covered?
It's called The Late Great Daniel Johnston Discovered and Covered. Yeah,
Got it.
Discovered, Covered. No and there, sorry.
Got it.
But it's got bands like Teenage Fan Club, Clem Snide, The Eels, TV on the Radio, Calvin Johnson from Beat Happening, Bright Eyes, Death Cab, Beck,
Right.
Sparkle Horse, and Flaming Lips. So those are the kind of artists.
Nice,
like
okay.
2000s.
I love Bright Eyes.
Yeah.
All right, nice. For this week, I'm going to recommend a little joint from 2018, I believe. This band is called Idols. They are super, super British. I always love whenever a singer is so British that they don't lose their accent when they sing.
I think we talked about that before. Yeah, I love that.
I love that shit. For some reason, I love that shit when he's like, nah, it's still there. But there's a specific song on that album that I've been listening to a lot this week. Been talking with my therapist about being nicer to myself.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm very nice to those around me, but I'm not always as nice to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tough. And the first line of this song called Television says, he says, if someone talked to you the way you do to you, I'd put their teeth through. Love yourself. And I love that shit.
Hell yeah. It's a good mantra.
It's a really, really good song.
Yeah.
All of their songs are very, they're all about like social issues and different things in life. And, tragedy and trauma and different things and friendship and love and immigration and toxic masculinity. And, the album goes all over the place and it's fucking beautiful. And I love the Idols, especially if you watch videos of them live, it just seems like they're a band that is a little bit more than just going to a show. It's more of like an experience.
Nice.
It's more of like, especially with a band that is that on the nose with their views.
Yeah.
You're in a room with like-minded people.
Hell yeah.
And in those moments, it tends to get very cathartic and moving.
It's like a good church.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah.
Totally.
Joy as an Act of Resistance is the name of the album. It's a great name for an album.
Yeah.
Joy
That's a
as an
great
Act
name.
of Resistance. And the band's called Idols.
The way you described their live show reminds me of Death Grip's live show.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that about them,
Which
too.
I just wanted to bring up Death Grips because I got tickets to the show in Tulsa. And it was I've seen them once before. And after that concert, I was like, this is one of my favorite bands now because of their concert. Because
I love when that happens.
Real quick, I just want to, because I want to
Go
advocate
ahead.
for this.
Yeah.
Death Grips, they have no opening act. If they say at 8, this show starts at 8. They play for 1 hour straight. They stop at 9, no encore. Lights on, you go home. It's like they play for an hour and it's like fucking an hour of just like energy and just like the audience is just like the whole fucking audience is just into it.
You're going to sweat.
And like the music is just like loud and it's like kind of hip hop and industrial and it's just like so fucking rap. But I love it. Like be there at 8 because that shit's starting at 8. But guess what? You're going home at 9, baby. And I love that because I wake up at 2 in the morning.
That's nice. You'll like this then. Pup, they're a punk band out of Toronto. I love Pup.
Yeah.
Their live shows are very similar to just being sort of like an experience. But they come right out at the beginning of their show. And they're like, all right, we're Pup. We don't do encores. We don't do that rock star bullshit.
Hell yeah.
So when we say this is our last song, this is our last song. And so they're like, yeah, we don't do that rock star bullshit. We're just playing straight through.
I think encores should be over for everyone.
Yeah, Dunzo. Just don't.
It's not a thing. If it's a true encore, like fucking go for it.
Yeah, like
I feel like there's no true encore.
no, it's never real.
It's fake.
It's always staged. Like you always know they're gonna do it. Like, and my favorite band ever is Coheed, and they do it every show. And I know what songs they're gonna do for the encore every time now. Like, it's so predictable that I'm like, guys, just don't
play 'em.
just play a longer set. Like, like. If you need a breather, like
if they want to take an act break in the middle or whatever, like I'm fine with that.
Just play a longer
I gotta
show.
go pee,
Yeah, we don't need that shit where like, make me come back.
Will they come back out?
Oh,
You gotta clap hard enough.
Yeah, we got to Tinkerbell this shit. Bands are like Tinkerbell.
You must love me, or you won't get these favorite songs.
That's so funny.
Like they're holding out their like best songs. you show their love to
like
them.
if you don't clap hard enough, you're not going to hear "Welcome Home." That's one of the songs they end. They pretty much end every show with that song.
Nice,
like clockwork. Anyways, that's it for us. Of course, you can listen to all the other shows on olaministries.com. We have so many different things. Of course, our flagship podcast, Opinions Like A-Holes, with myself and Hilton Price. Hilton's a busy little bee. He's got 3 other podcasts now. He's got the People Person's Paper podcast, which is a show where we're episode by episode through The Office. I will be back soon for the Pam's wedding episode, Pam and Jim's wedding episode, titled Niagara. And I will be there for that. And then, of course, he's also got OK Geek, which is your weekly source for geek news, comic books and video games and that sort of thing.
Cool.
And then Stories with Mom, which is a really fun show where he and the co-host of People Person's Paper podcast, Brian Sittler, sit down with Hilton's mom, Elise, who's a lovely lady who's had a hell of a life. She's got so many amazing stories.
Cool.
And so it's called Stories with Mom, and they're sitting down with her and just having her regale them with tales from her life. And I
love it.
And it should be a really neat journey too. For Hilton and his mom.
Yeah,
I think. Recording that together.
Totally.
And
sharing
then,
stories with people, especially like family, I think is.
Yeah, and people forget how interesting just normal people's lives have been sometimes.
Totally.
You know,
Yeah.
you meet someone that on the surface seems just so normal. You know, and that this like 65-year-old, whatever, however old person, and they seem so normal, and then you start talking to them about their life, and they're like, "Yeah, I partied with Hendrix in Germany," and you know, they're like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah. Especially if it's someone you've known. I would say parent, but it doesn't have to be a parent. Someone you've known your whole life since a child. Because like when you're a kid, you see adults as very like 2-dimensional
Squares.
and then to learn like all this crazy shit they were doing while you knew them is great.
My father-in-law. Knew him for multiple years before I found out that he was in Boy Scout stuff with Dennis Rader, BTK killer.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
Boy Scout stuff with BTK.
Well, like they were both scout leaders, and they would go to the leaders would gather for like scout stuff where they would basically be given the fucking here's a scout agenda for this year. Here's how many kids you can fuck. No, kidding. He met and like. He was just like, I don't remember how it came up, but he was very cavalier about like having met the BTK killer. And I was like, whoa.
He's like, oh yeah, I went to a few conventions with him.
I have questions. And he was just like, yeah, he seemed really normal and boring. And I was like, oh, he wasn't.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's fucking gnarly. So yeah, you never know how interesting people's lives have been. So it's really neat to see that come to fruition.
Love it.
So yeah, keep checking out everything here on olaministries.com, and we will see you probably in 2 weeks. We might have to take next week off. So we will either see you next week or in 2 weeks. But we love you. Stay safe, stay aware, and we'll see you then. Maximum News is a production of OLA Ministries. All original music written, performed, and recorded by Kins.